Okay, here's a scenario. You're at home, alone, and all of a sudden you hear strange sounds. Someone is inside the house, and you're in danger. You hear someone outside or nearby, and you start trembling, and you're nervous, and you call 911. The 911 dispatcher mistakes you as a crank caller, and they hang up. What is happening? Hi, and welcome to Midnight 7. In my neighborhood, people are more annoyed by the car alarm sounding off than actually thinking it's suspicious activity that needs attention. We are living in a world where things happen so often that it's taken for granted. Last year alone, the news reported 2 to 3 times a week, people would call 911 to report slow service at fast food restaurants, or just for getting the wrong food order. What is going on?
Brittany called 911 that day. That call was dropped, and the Dane County dispatcher never...
10 years ago, on April 2nd, 2008, Brittany Zimmermann was home alone in her off-campus apartment in downtown Madison. She was attacked and killed, and sadly found by her fiancé. She was stabbed multiple times in her chest and had blunt force trauma into her head. Madison police believe she called 911 before the incident, but the 911 call center failed to help her and concluded that her call was a mistake. On April 22, 2008, just 20 days later, they brought in a material witness named David Call. He was seen around the area going door to door, scamming for money to repair a non-existent tire. A lot of transients use this to get cash and support their habits. On the night of April 2, 2008, during a break-in at a home nearby Brittany's apartment, David Call witnessed 2 homeless men, identified as Hank and Mitchell, breaking into the houses and running the same scams. He said they knocked on doors asking for money and used it for drugs at a nearby crack house. After they got high, they then parted ways. Police won't say whether they have identified Hank and Mitchell as their prime suspects, or even publicly acknowledge Call's connection to the case. But it's important to know that a year earlier in 2007 in January, this material witness, David Call, was a convicted sex offender, and that's suspiciously a huge red flag. We shouldn't put into assumption that because he's a sex offender, he must be responsible for killing a young woman like Brittany Zimmermann. But there should definitely be more precautions and procedures before putting just anyone into a material witness list. A lot of transients roaming around the city do have mental issues or are simply too dangerous to others or themselves. After a supposedly solid lead from the material witness, Hank and Mitchell were not arrested. What a waste of time! How can Call still get special treatment and get away with his made-up story? Isn't there some kind of punishment for providing false information? In my opinion, maybe he should be promoted to main suspect. Just saying. After Zimmermann's case, there are similar cases of homicide around the area. 5 homicides within 10 months, all unsolved. 8 years later, on June 16, 2016, David Call's DNA matched a DNA found on Zimmermann's shirt. They claim there's no indication of how strong of a DNA match it is, but Call has been incarcerated with an unrelated crime. His cellmate claims that Call confessed and that he killed the 21-year-old UW student, Brittany Zimmermann. So how strong does a match have to be? If the DNA matches, then it just is. Or am I wrong? I've heard on some occasions the sample that was taken are sometimes inconclusive, which usually means the DNA sample is not enough to compare. Maybe the amount they took was a little too old? But here's the difference. Call is not dead. He's incarcerated. If the DNA is too weak, go get more. He's right there, sitting, and at this point, all the signs are pointing to Call. This kind of sounds like a lot of conspiracy and maybe a cover-up. Or maybe it's just inexperience on the investigation's part. Who knows? Is Call working for the police? What's the upside to this? Is it corruption? Just wanted to point those thoughts out. If you hear or know of anything to help Brittany Zimmermann's case, please contact the information provided below. Thanks, and thanks for watching Midnight 7. Until next time, bye.